on the irresponsible comments that were
The fire burning red in a Georgia representing of a comes audio. You know. Big up Kidaki, Buxton Massive. Hey Babylon boy, you go on like you know, like come son. Red.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Tom's TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politician they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. There's one set of people getting aisle money. There's one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see. Sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, which has ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, fooling the people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. I say, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, they got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam. Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London. Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Paslow Port People Governor. Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson. Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, They deserve justice. The family, the relatives, and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives, and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money never, money never, money never, money never, money never, money. I know what you're gonna do. Money, money never, money never, money never, money never, money. You can keep your conniving money. When you've been knocked for a bum, you know, tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, you know, tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money never, money never, money, money never, money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a kill that piece. A 2 pound note and a kill that piece. A 2 pound note and a kill that piece. This is all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. I know what you can I be money. Oh, Joseph.
Hey fans, it's karaoke and oldies night this and every Thursday at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton. Dance to the magical songs of yesteryear by popular DJs and Camps Audio. Admission is free. Come out, let's make memories at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton North.
Comes out your son. You burn the swine when I want you shine. The tree of life, them I want you climb, cause them art no kind. Comes, I say them art no kind. Buxton Massive, Kidaki, Red Hat.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T&W Harris Butcher Shop, located in the East Rheinveld Market Meat Section. Call us on 609-7168, 641-4494. Ask for Rastaman. T&W Harris Butcher Shop for the best in fresh cut meats and lots more. Morning, neighbor, morning, are you morning, morning, are you morning? Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. It is 17 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. I'm never late, I'm never late, I'm always deliberate. How y'all do? How was it yesterday? How was it last night? How is your morning? How did you pass last night? How did you pass yesterday? Did you make some money yesterday? Did you earn your keeps? Are you convinced that the government is being fair with you? Are they paying you your right level of pay, etc., etc.? I'm just asking. It's Tuesday morning. I'm your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. Welcome to another program. It's the 4th of June in the year 2024. And as usual, we have lots of things to talk about. I don't know when we get done talk. You know, we have lots of things to talk about.
I mean, him fuck Batty. Not you.
Because the reality is,
Cancer, how are we doing?
we
Welcome
have
to your reading for
of wrongdoers in our society masquerading as law enforcers and government officials. And any society that is not prepared to address the ills by which it is confronted is not a society that can grow and go to the level of accepting human rights and respecting human rights and the dignity and the rights of people to exist and so on and so forth. And so those of you who are peeved, who are angry, who are I don't know, aggravated because Kidaki Amsterdam chose to speak the truth and speak it always. It's a matter for you. You could do your worst. I will continue to speak my truth. And so I will continue to examine the ills of this society and the ills of the PPP in particular, because they're supposed to be managing this society for the benefit of everyone. They're supposed to have oversight authority over the agencies of the state and ensure that they function appropriately for the benefit of everyone. But why you listen to this TikToker? And then we'll talk more about the things I want to talk about.
You know, it's Grumps in the house. This is let them look like Tapachingo look like today. And in the imbecile for government and the town council haven't even showing up in these areas to deal with these matters. They can't even handle these matters because they refuse to deal with these matters. One of the things out of a meeting is saying that they know people got to move out from these areas and refuse to move out like this day concern. I think the government concern supposed to be about the safety and the well-being of the people. I never know the government this thing who got to move out and who ain't got to move out and thing. The government guy now like this resource of the country and the wealth of this country belongs to PPP, Barajagio, and El Nandalala and the whole clique. Okay? Because it seems like this is how the RDC in Region 9 working and the Mayor and Town Council working, Macedo, John Macedo and them boys. Right? Look, the water already retrieving out of my yard, receding out of my yard, look. All here the cover. You could see all here the cover. Water went all here. Yeah. If you look, water all about. I can tell you, this government real unscrupulous, you know. In order for Guyana to grow and be prosperous, PPP have to go. Take it from me. PPP have to go. They are bloodsuckers, they're imbeciles, they're crass and parasite to this country. Look at this. All this is water in my yard. Look. Water. Nobody to give no relief to the people of this country. Look, all here water went, all here. Water meet as far as here.
all they could study about and talk about is that people in these areas supposed to move. Like the money in the treasury and the coffers is their own. Like they got to take it out of their pocket, Barga take it out of the personal pocket. Like Masido got to take it out of the pocket. Like Carl Singh got to take it out of the pocket. Me, you know, since when the state resources them by his own, that they could tell people got to move from where they live in. Yeah? Levels the Venezuelans now is so quick they would give them some rationale like how they used to do it, and they just do it. These people ain't care about Guyanese. Let me tell you, the PPP administration doesn't care about Guyanese citizens. They more care about staying in power and robbing this country than the citizens of this country. Imagine they would have passed a budget of how much point something $1 trillion, $1 trillion. More than the whole Caribbean. I don't think the Caribbean has a budget that large. Went back to the coffers not even 3 months and take out how much billions of dollars again. And they can't reach people who are in crisis in villages like Upakari, Sand Creek, and these villages that is isolated and suffering from flood, that their farms are underwater, their livelihood is threatened, and they cannot come up with a plan how to deal with this disaster. And they know this is something that's happening every year or every other year. But fighting for tell people, for talking a meeting, but people supposed to know them they gotta move. Move and go way by. Where are we move and go? Brazil? Suriname? Venezuela? No, these Guyanese. We ain't gonna move and go nowhere, brethren. We stay where we there. Because just like how we are giving the Venezuelan lands to stay, and they got big, massive land where it's called Plastic City, and they live in there, and they're going to go over to Plastic City. So people could see where Plastic City is and how much Venezuelans living in Plastic City. Unbothered, but trying to tell Guyanese citizens that they got to move from place where they live in.
Xin chào các bạn, cộng đồng Việt Nam, ở bên Việt Nam.
Yeah. Those are the lamentations of a citizen of Latam. And that lamentation, those lamentations can be replicated throughout Guyana, and they will hold true. They can be replicated in every region of this country, and they will hold true. But the PPP comes and they say, because we care. We are caring government. Because we care, your children are out of school for what? Approaching 2 months now or more. I lost count, man. I was saying to somebody yesterday, the teachers have been on strike so long that I forgot the teachers are on strike. And we have a caring government, a government that is so caring that teachers have been on strike for such a long time. That I, as a man who usually keeps abreast with the news, have forgotten that teachers are on strike. Imagine that. A caring government that has so much resources that to distribute a few mosquito nets in Latam, they have to fly a minister and entourage in. But with a flood which is expected every year or every other year in the same Latam, there has been no preparation to ease the plight of those people whenever that flood comes. A lot of you are house managers, you have your homes you manage. Blackout is a thing of the day. Do you wait until it's blackout? to run out and mobilize resources. Well, I gotta get candles, and I gotta get match, and I gotta get so on and so forth. I gotta get batteries, or these lights need recharging and stuff like that. If you don't run your homes like that, why are we allowing a government to run our country like that? Why? But that's what we have for governance in this country. A set of people masquerading in public office, incompetent as they are, quite guilty. Everywhere you turn, they're guilty of their religion of duty. But they think that they are God's gift to mankind, especially to Guyanese. Why are we allowing this situation to persist? Are we as citizens not empowered to put a halt to the misbehavior of people in public office? Are we not empowered? Or are we not aware of the power which we hold? I have the freedom of speech, and I will use it every day that I have breath to highlight the wrongs that I see. Let me start by telling you, the standard police protocol is that if ranks from a district outside of where a suspect is wanted, but to go into that district where the suspect is, they're supposed to communicate with the local police. The local police is supposed to accompany them. Ranks from Georgetown that came to arrest me, for my information, never reported to the Vigilance Police Station. Senior policemen at the Vigilance Police Station were never aware that CID and major crimes, as they call themselves, were in Buxton to effect an arrest. Y'all heard me? Yes, it's called jurisdiction. Right? Y'all heard me? So that's another aspect of the people who are supposed to, who have been sworn to uphold the law, not respecting the law. They can't even respect the standing order, which provides guidance to them. And let me point out to you that when Quindon Bacchus was murdered, the same allegations were made. The same allegations were made. How may I help you? Good morning. You know, stop, sir, stop. Stop, please, stop.
I'm stopping. I'm listening to you.
This is the last time I'm going to take a call while I'm on my program live. This program got rules.
Okay.
When the lines are open, you call. Don't call before. But go ahead. Have your say.
Okay, thank you. I apologize about that. I thought it was open calling. My bad. But nonetheless, Guyanese, our lives begin to end the day we become silent on issues. And it is important to note that if one can chase 1,000, what 10 can do? And so Kadaki is a perfect example of one that we must stay in unity and continue this fight, because we must stay united and reject this evil PPP regime. In closing, learn to understand what we see and make the right deductions. In the end, Jackie must be jailed for his atrocities and treasonous actions perpetrated upon Guyanese. But let us stay in the struggle. In solidarity, we stand together. One love as we press forward. And thank you again, Kadaki, for allowing me this time. My humblest apology.
Thank you. You know, I made a note this last night. I was sharing with a friend. I like to share, you know. My experiences, I used to educate people all the time. I was saying to the friend, you know, the call that has the government of Ghana and the police force targeting me. I've never heard from the call again since I called, or since the police trouble started. Why? Online, offline, I've not received a call to say, hey, I recognize the problems this call created. I'm in solidarity with you. I'm sorry for the expressions I used that got you in trouble. You know, here's $1 towards the defense fund. I haven't heard from that caller. As it caused me to reflect. And this is what I'm saying to you. A lot of people enjoy freedoms because a lot of other people make sacrifices. I don't want anybody to sing my praises. Keep that in mind. I come here and I teach, and I come and I do it voluntarily. I do it of my own free will. I'm not forced to do it. I'm not bound to do it. But for the love of humanity, I do it. And so every now and again, I have to stop to ask you, as some people usually say, a friend asked me to ask you, why do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do? Do you tune in the morning because you have nothing else to do? I doubt it. Do you call because, as we say in Ghana, you just want to bump your gum? I doubt it. You just like hear your voice? I doubt it. You must have some degree of conviction, I would want to think, that causes you to be here every morning, listening to my teachings, and partaking in the discussions, either by the way of chat or by way of the calling segment. Since this incident, a lot of persons have reached out to me and they say, you know what, Mr. Amsterdam, maybe you should stop the calling, because it was a caller who put you in problems. You all know me, I'm always outside of the box. I still am of the opinion the caller didn't put me in problems. The caller expressed the way he felt. The caller expressed an opinion which I used to teach that what the caller was expressing or the caller was suggesting is not the right thing or the best thing, the most appropriate thing. I would want to believe that my handling the call the way I did have given a whole host of people, multiples of people, scores of people, the opportunity to see the situation, to view the situation, and think about the situation from another perspective. And therefore, I'm sure, or I would want to believe that I've changed somebody's mindset who was thinking that the answer to this problem, and every problem, as a matter of fact, is a result of violence. So from where I'm sitting, I'm telling you, I don't see they call us putting me in problem. They call it creating a teachable moment. And we must take teachable moments and teach. Right? But while you're benefiting from teachable moments at quote unquote other people's sacrifice, the question that always comes is, what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice? How much are you willing to sacrifice? How much are you willing to do to encourage, to value, to sustain, to promote, to appreciate the sacrifice of those who are sacrificing so that you can enjoy your freedoms? In response to the person who said you should maybe stop the calling program, my immediate response is, and rob people of their freedom of expression. This is a democracy. Should I join the PPP to rob people of their right to free expression? Should I allow a dictatorship to win? That's the easy way out. A lot of people like that easy way out. A lot of people would choose that easy way out. Because in short, they think it's too great a sacrifice to make for their people. I don't think no sacrifice is too much for me to make for the freedom of my people. And when I say my people, I'm not talking only about my people by ethnicity. I'm talking about my people by nationality. And I'm also certainly speaking about my offspring, my next generations. Can it be too much to sacrifice even your freedom so that your next generations can enjoy freedom? I think not. The Americans will tell you that had it not been for Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King, his wife, and all a long list of quote unquote freedom fighters in the United States of America, there would not have been the level of freedom as there is in the United States of America, especially for colored people. Martin Luther King paid the ultimate price. Malcolm X paid the ultimate price. But look at the benefits that resulted to several generations after as a result of them paying the ultimate price. I tell people all the time, I don't aspire to die to save my people. I aspire to live to enjoy the freedoms that we will win. But if death comes, embrace it. It's just another day in this struggle. And I believe it is that acceptance which makes it so difficult. For those who would like to see me shut up, to shut me up. That is what is bothering them. Hence my title for the program this morning. Still I rise, still I rise, still I rise. What are you willing to sacrifice for your freedom and the freedom of others? Let me start by asking you to share the program. Do that. I ask you to send money to the Zelle. I ask you to send money to Cash App. I ask you to send money to MMG. Share the program. Because I always say education is a black man's liberation. And the more you educate people, and the more people take education, as we like to say, the more people get educated. Education is supposed to change outlook. And so the more we educate people, the more we can expect their outlook to change and they can really see the ills of this government. Share the life. That's all I want you to do right now. Good? Those of you who think you can contribute by the Cash App, by Zelle, by MMG, the details are on the screen. The details are on the screen. Those of you who think you can contribute because you are living here in Guyana and you're living in Buxton, for example, and you think you can contribute by putting your shoulders physically to the wheel, you have options. One of the options is that you can reach out to me. You can reach out to me. You don't even have to live in Buxton. You can reach out to me via 6225933. You reach out. Say, Mr. Amsterdam, I've reached a point where I need to be in this struggle. How can I help? How can I help? Can I, for example, because a lot of people, and I'm responding to some suggestions that were made in the program. A lot of people are saying to me, Mr. Amsterdam, get somebody to go with you to the police station. Mr. Amsterdam, don't go alone. Don't move alone. You have to have people around you. Are there people there with the necessary kind of training and skill to protect Mr. Amsterdam when he is going any place? For example, it is said when Irfan Ali was running for the president of this country, Mohammed Enterprises was providing security for him, including armored vehicles. We have a black brother or sister or somebody recognizing the importance of supporting the cause that has, let's say, a security firm that can provide security services, part-time or full-time, 24 hours or 12 hours or 8 hours. We have to sit and search among ourselves and decide how we can assist in this fight. And when I raise these questions, I'm not raising these questions necessarily individually, necessarily personally, because quite frankly, let me not say that. But you have Dr. David Hines out there. He's out there every day on the front line. Do you value him? Do you value his contributions to the struggle, to the fight? Lincoln Lewis, Aubrey Norton, Dion Abrams, Takumo Gonsi. These are just some of the names. Robin Simon, Simona Booms. These are just some of the names of the people out there fighting the wickedness of this government every day. It means that they're exposed. How can you help to preserve their activism so that in the long run, you all can benefit from it? That's a question. Those are questions I want to ask you. I said to you, you enjoy the freedoms because myself and others. Right? Myself and others. Make sacrifices. Let me share with you, because a lot of people believe that My arrest ended with my bail, or the situation ended with my bail. Let's talk about the fact. And the 10th, I'll be in court. I have to be in court on 10th. I expect many journeys to the court, for that matter. That's what the police do. They charge you, they place you in court before the court, and then they're never ready to proceed. So they ensure that every time you go to court, you expend money. It's another form of punishment. Good? Let's address that. But this is what I've been living since my release. And I'm saying because people have been asking and people want me to share these stories. This is what I've been living. First and foremost, I've curtailed my movements again because they are watchers. While I was detained in Rheinfeldt lockups and East and West the penitence outposts, there were sightings of vehicles wrecking my premises. Yeah? People wrecking my place. I'm under surveillance. I will always, in my mind, be under surveillance. Means I have to take additional security measures. Things I've started to address already. I have to, there can be no question. The police came and they video on the premises. The police has, I don't know for whose use, video recordings detailing the layout of my premises. I don't know for whose use. So the police knows the ingress and egresses, entries and exits on this premises because they did a video recording of this premises. I therefore have to take the necessary precautions to, if not prevent easy access, if not prevent access, make it difficult access. I have to deal with that. You know what else I have to deal with? I am now not able to sleep through the night. I've always been like that. In terms of being like that, in terms of how my body, my sleep pattern changes. And so 2 nights in police custody has disrupted my sleep pattern. I can't sleep through the night. At least I need 4 hours. I can't get 4 hours continuously. My chest pains. My windpipe, as they say, into my, I would say my lung is congested. I have a nasty, dry cough, constant burning. I guess all of that came from the ammonia, from the overflow excrements. My joints, I've aged overnight. Every single one of my joints hurt. My spine is painful. I guess that came from standing or lying or sitting on the concrete, as we like to say, the cold concrete, for an extended period of time. Those are some of the physical issues I am dealing with. And I will most likely have to deal with, maybe for an extended period of time, because I now have to either be medicated or treated or whatever to over a period of time, right the wrong which was done to the body. I don't think you ever get back to 100. But those are some of the results of my experience, my sacrifice. No, it's not a complaint. I'm sharing with you so you understand. And I'm using my experience to show to you how the system is unjust to mankind. Because punishing any human being for an infraction of the law, unless it's a death sentence perhaps, should not mean impairing the health of that person. Should not mean impairing the health of that person. And so all of you ignorance, who since whenever to know, I've been saying on this program, and I have not been responding to you, that prison is not a 10-star or 5-star hotel. And there are reasons why prison life is made hard. I'm saying to you that you're speaking from a bosom of ignorance and hatred. Because prison is supposed to be a correctional facility. Note the term correctional facility. Penal facility. You get penalized for your misbehavior, but the aim at the end of the day is to have you correct those attitudes and attributes which led to the breach of the law. And so I don't understand that prison or incarceration or detention is supposed to be designed to impair anyone's health. That's an injustice. People talk about double jeopardy. That's an injustice. You incarcerate someone for misbehavior and then you impair their health by your policies. That is double jeopardy. It's two punishment people facing for one quote-unquote crime. And that's unjust. That can't be right. So why is it we as a people sit idly by and seem to accept that our citizens, our brothers and sisters of this society are mistreated by the state in such a way? Because criminals don't have rights, or suspects don't have rights, or detainees don't have rights, or political prisoners don't have rights, or political activists don't have rights? Is that what we're saying? Because you are a political activist, pro or anti-government, because you are a suspect, because you've been arrested by the police, does that stop you from being human? And so it is the duty of the police to dehumanize you further. You know, we're having this argument, I call it an argument, a discussion about the use of the term Negro when the police is describing detainees. And Nandalal says that the term has been used for over 100 years and nobody objected. At least that is what I interpret his utterances to be. Let me say to you this. When the police arrested me for the use of a noisy instrument, I objected to being called Negro. And you can go and check the records at Brigdam Police Station, because that is where it was booked. And it will show that they were made to change that description of me as a male Negro to African Guyanese, because I wasn't going to have any of it. I received a note this morning in one of the chat groups that the 1823 movement, no, the Ghana Day Committee, had actually written a letter and hand delivered it to, among others, the Attorney General, expressing their discontent about the use of the word Negro to describe African Guyanese when arrested by the police, and requesting that that quote-unquote protocol be changed. According to the note, that was some, how many years ago? I can't remember. But let me check. Right? But it was quite a while ago. Did I see which group it is? Anyhow, what the reality is, people have been raising concerns about the use of that term. And public officials who are paid by the coffers of this state have failed to act on request. To have it removed. To have it removed. In any other that is decent, that is respectful of its citizens. Any other country where citizens are standing for their rights, freedom of expressions and human rights. The utterances of the Attorney General would have caused him to apologize publicly or be gone altogether. Not in this dictatorship. Not in this dictatorship. Why is it allowed to happen? Because our citizens believe that what? It is too great a sacrifice to make, to challenge these oppressors, to get. And Tom Jones must be the one to make the sacrifice while we enjoy the benefits? Is that why, is it why we are behaving the way we are behaving? But if we want changes, we have to be prepared to make sacrifices. I'm prepared to make that sacrifice. I've shown you. I would fight for you. I would sacrifice you. I have no problem with that. There are other people there who have shown you the same thing. Where are you going to join us? I'm repeating for you before I open up the lines. There is a threat to arrest David Hines and Dion Abrams. And when I look back at it, quite frankly, I ask myself, like it's a Buxtonian connection. Let's go for the Buxtonians. They're too bold. They're too liberated. Let's go for the Buxtonians. Once we can get the Buxtonians to bend, we will beaten the entire opposition. We are going to drive fear into the entire society because we beat the Buxtonians to submission. I wonder if this is the plan. But whatever the plan, starting with Buxtonians, are you going to sit back and allow the PPP government to disrespect your national leaders, your cultural leaders, the people who from time immemorial have been standing in your corner and speaking for you and fighting for you? Are you going to do that? And what about the rest of you Guyanese? What about the vendors, for example, that David Hines went across to last Thursday, quote unquote, to the rescue when the city council party was about to dismantle their stalls? And he managed to get the mayor or town clerk, whoever it was, to grant an extension of time for the removal of the stalls. Are you going to sit back and allow this PPP government to use the apparatus of the state to curtail the freedom of these people who have been fighting for you? Or are you going to in turn fight for their freedom? That's what I want to know. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. 6225933 is the number to call. Takuma Ogonse goes to court tomorrow. Vigilance Magistrates Court. You know why he is going to court. 9 o'clock in the morning. You know why he is going to court. Because he was speaking for you and representing your interests. Are you going to stand with him and say to the powers that be that this nonsense has to come to an end? You have this man running up and down, 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 up and down to court. And in essence, this matter has not even been started properly, much less to be completed. Morning, neighbor, morning. Are you morning? Morning, are you morning? How are you doing? Morning, welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. I don't always allow people to set my agenda, but somebody wants to set my agenda. I'll allow them this time to set my agenda. Trust me. How y'all doing? How was y'all yesterday? How was y'all last night? As the boys in the street say, what going on for y'all? Right? What going on for y'all? What happened yesterday? Y'all make some money yesterday. Y'all felt safe in this country. How many of our young people were able to secure employment yesterday? Employment that is not 10 hours a week or 10 hours a month, whatever it is, $40,000 a month employment. How many of you? How many of our young people were able to get employed without having to kiss ass, as they say? You know, I was told recently that a certain person is masquerading as a tower of virtue. Masquerading as a tower of virtue. The kind of virtue that, what is the name of that newspaper? Young lady that came and had to cause somebody to want to sue. The kind of virtue that that person portrays. I was told that not long ago that individual who once functioned in the Ministry of Finance as a youngster was selling jobs of $40,000 a head. Note what I'm saying. Somebody has told me recently that somebody who masquerades as a tower of virtue the kind of virtue that whatever the girl name, I can't remember her name right now, right? Reveal that caused your vice president to sue. Vice News, yes. Because Vice News, quote unquote, exposed a certain kind of virtue in this country, and it's a kind of virtue that a lot of public officials walk around with. A feather in the cap, a people on the shoulder, and they big up themselves. I'm virtuous. But my information is that some people are not as virtuous as they pretend to be. Because I got it from good sources. You could get a job if you had $40,000, and those $40,000 wasn't cheap. Now, y'all tell me, if I'm looking for a job to earn money, where are you getting money to pay to get a job? Right? You know that still happens in this society, right? They usually say, now who you know is who know you. And so to get a lot of things done in this society, things that every human being quite rightly is entitled to, you got to pay somebody something. Right? You got to pay somebody something. Good? I hope some of you were able to get jobs that you didn't have to pay anybody anything. Jobs that you don't allow the quote-unquote supervisor to put in for pay when you didn't work and collect it, because if you object, then they will see to your dismissal. I hope you don't have to do that. Right? I hope you don't have to do that. It's Tuesday morning. You're tuned to the Guyanese morning time. It's 18 minutes past the 7 o'clock hour. As usual on Tuesdays, we have the doctor in the house. And so Dr. David Hines is going to be here today. In fact, he's already in studio. I'll bring him on shortly. But I hope you had a good last night and so on. So I said I don't usually allow people to set my agenda. But Shazim Hanif says this. Mr. Amsterdam is indirectly employing racial hostility among Buxtonians to influence them to create rancors, he said. Shazim Hanif, I'm happy that you can be my head. I'm very happy that you can be me in my head. Like your friends over at, well, I guess you're one of them too. But you know, as I say, good riddance. Goodbye, Shazim. Have a nice day. I don't want you to be here to be influenced to create rancors according to you, whatever that word means. Right? Dave Shivnandan says, Mr. Kadaki, to be politically correct, I'm going to tell you something. The way this person spells my name, Kadaki, sounds like the way a certain Buxtonian calls my name, Promoter Bado. He's a PPP tool. So I wonder if it's Bado masquerading as Dave Shivnandan. I don't want to call him out this morning. So yeah, don't fret. Promoter Bado, he's a PPP tool. So this spelling sounds like Bado calling me Kadaki. To be politically correct, if you don't want to be called Negro, you need to stop referring to the word Kuli. The word Kuli is also derogatory. Please reply to my comment, please. I'm replying to your comment. It's a discourse I had with somebody yesterday. One cannot equate citizens of this country referring to each other as Kuli and black man to the state referring to African Guyanese as Negro. It can't be. There can be no equality. I said it on my program previously. I'm going to say it again because I have no shame of saying it, because I know I stand correct in saying it. Kuli and black man are words that are considered part of the local vernacular. You know the meaning of vernacular? Go find out. I grew up hearing Kuli and black man. People greet one another like that. Hey, black man, hey, Kuli. I played for you as part of my exhibit. Whatever this Indo-Guyanese artist's name, performing Kulibai. I can't remember if it was an Agriculture Month Expo that was hosted by the PPP. The predominant attendees at that show were Indo-Guyanese, and they were happy to the artists singing Kulibai on stage. They all had a good time. They all danced up. They all exhibited what a Kulibai does. Right? Natural Black, I think, sang something about black. Basil Bradshaw has a poem, Black Me Black, I mean, I turn back. So Black Man and Kuli, over the years, at least from my perspective, have become part of the cultural of Guyanese, to call Black Man and Kuli. Negro, however, is a different kettle of fish. It has never been accepted, at least not in my lifetime, to be called or referred to as a Negro. And so when the state apparatus uses it to describe African Guyanese, people have a right to take umbrage. And that's my response to you, Dave Shivnanan. That's my response. I ain't gonna block you this morning. I don't think you were abusive. If you come on my program and I think you're abusive and out of place, I'm gonna block you. I'm gonna dismiss you. Dr. Hines, welcome to the program. It's another Tuesday morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning.
Was a two-part question. How are you doing? I'm hearing you, but you're a bit low.
All right, let me try to.
That sounds better.
See it's better there?
Yes.
Okay.
So the question is, how are you today? What's happening?
I'm fine, thanks. Once there is life, I am fine and ready to roll. Another day in the struggle.
You prepare for being arrested?
Another day in the struggle.
Yes. So welcome to the program again. You know, quite a lot has happened. I don't know if I had the opportunity of welcoming you to the land of sunshine. I mean, you live in a land of sunshine, but when you come back home, there's no place like home. So welcome home. I know it has been a hectic period since you got back here, let me say that. A lot of things have been happening, and happening, they're continuing to. Well, with my recent arrest and all of that, I think we have really ventilated on that issue. But of course, coming out of that, we learned of instructions being given to members of the police force to, in short, effect the arrest of yourself and the Abrams at some point in time. My information is that it should have been this week. A file was sent to the DPP, I understand, at the advice allegedly of the Attorney General, right? So I guess, as people say, everybody's antsy. We're waiting to see what will be the outcome of those instructions and whatever guidance will come out of the DPP. You have any reaction to that kind of information? And can you suggest, for example, why this sudden onslaught on notable WPA members? I just realized yesterday that the three of us, yourself, Dion, and I, are BUXTONIANs. Is it that you must settle the BUXTONIANs to settle the WPA to settle citizens?
I don't know. I can't get in those people's heads. As everyone know, I'm a keen student of the arts, and it was the Calypsonian short from Antigua who said, you know, nobody gonna run me from where me come from. I was born in this land. I'm gonna die in this land, and nobody gonna run me from where me come from. So I think that speaks for me. That speaks for me. As to whether they have instructions for my arrest, I am not hiding. I am here, and
the political bosses have to do what they have to do, and we have to do what we have to do. If the political bosses wake up in the mornings and as part of their governance strategy is to arrest those who are critical of their mode of governance, then they will have to answer to their God or gods. And I don't wake up in the morning worrying about that, whether I will be arrested or not arrested, nor do I wake up in the morning worrying about arresting anybody. I wake up in the morning and say, thank you, God. Thank you, ancestors, for allowing me to grace another day. And I hope I can be of some value and some use to my fellow human beings. And I proceed from that standpoint.
Thank you much. Let's talk about some recent developments. I want to start by talking about the visit of Congressman Jackson. Many were saying that the congressman was invited here by the PPP, and so they were expecting him to come and sing the songs of the PPP and so on. By the time he left, a lot of people are saying that the plans of the PPP backfired on them. You've seen the quote-unquote interaction of the congressman with individuals and organizations representing Afro-Guyanese interests. What are your thoughts on that visit? And is it a positive, was it a good opportunity for the representatives of Afro-Guyanese?
But let me preface my answer this way. To say that one of the things that I've been trying to do whenever I appear on your program, whenever I'm on my program or any program, is to try in this age of social media, in this age of very quick movement of information, is to try to say and try to help our people to understand that there are never quick fixes to social, political, and economic maladies. That you don't wave a magic wand and things happen. Never did. Nowhere in history has that ever happened. Those of us who call ourselves revolutionaries are in the business of helping to foment revolution. And by revolution, we mean fundamental changes in society. And when you look at world history, let's take world history over the last 300 years, 350 years, you can count on your two hands the number of revolutions that have occurred. If you take our part of the world, you think of the Haitian Revolution, the Bourbis Revolution of 1763, which predated the Haitian Revolution, and come closer, you think of the Cuban Revolution, the Grenadian Revolution, and to some extent the Surinamese Revolution in 1980. That's 4 or 5. Revolutions don't happen every day because those things are a culmination of small revolutions. A big revolution is a culmination of small revolutions. And I say that to say that we have to make a distinction between the fundamental changes that we are looking for and that are inevitable in society, and the small changes that occur on a week or a monthly basis, sometimes longer than that, every 6 months. There are small changes that have occurred, but they do not amount to fundamental change. The fundamental change comes whenever there is a given point, and that point we refer to as the revolution. But it's a process of small changes. And as you know, I've been trying to impress upon our people not to develop the mindset of win and lose, but to develop a mindset that we are constantly breaking down the barriers between ourselves and that freedom that we desire as human beings and as Guyanese. And so therefore, the congressman's visit, just as your arrest did, is that they provided opportunities for us to bring to the fore questions that have been probably dormant, issues that have been probably suppressed, and also to shine a brighter light on the oppression that we face. And if we begin to think about our situation in those ways, then we will have to conclude that the congressman's visit had a positive side to it. Did not start out that way. Your arrest, tragic. Nobody wants to go to jail. Nobody wants to be arrested wrongfully. Nobody wants to be shackled, to be handcuffed. Nobody wants to. But that negative development opened the opportunities for positive questions to be raised. And we never knew. You were arrested last week, Tuesday. And, I was at your place early in the morning. I got to you at 6:15 because I wanted to drop something off for you and to talk to you before you went on air. And we were chatting as usual, chatting politics. And you did not know you were going to be arrested a few hours later. You had no idea. You knew that the possibility of your being arrested was always there. We knew that, everybody knows that. But nobody knew that a few hours, here we were two political people, but we weren't saying, Kidaki, you might get arrested. And if you arrest, this is what we got to do. This is the strat. No. We weren't talking about that. We were speaking about general politics. A few hours later, I got a call. I saw a missed call from you. And as I was in the process of calling you, I didn't get any answer. But before I put on the phone, Dion Abrams called me and said, "Are you aware that Kiraki has been arrested?" And I said, no. By the time I can finish with him, Aubrey Norton was on the phone with me. I just hear Kiraki got arrested. I said, I am just hearing that a second ago. And he says, the first thing we have to do is to find a lawyer. And we began the process. In the next hour or so, my phone started to ring left, right, and center. And one of the questions, Dr. Hines, are you in police custody? And I had to say, well, no, if I were in police custody, I could not be answering this phone. I narrate that to say that nobody can predict what is going to happen because we are human beings. In some respects, we are predictable, but in many respects, we are unpredictable. And so politics are unpredictable. The most we can do as political people is to prepare. And as I have said, you have said, our party has said, is that what we are in the process of doing is to prepare Guyanese people for struggle, prepare Guyanese people for the ultimate protest. So sometimes I hear our comrades say we need boots on the ground and we need this and so on. And one has to be sympathetic because when people are frustrated, they think about that ultimate moment. But really to say to them that really what we ought to be doing or thinking about doing right now is not necessarily to put boots on the ground for what Takumo Gonse called that perfect protest. What we ought to be doing is what we in the WP have been doing, and that is to spend our time helping to prepare the society for struggle, to get you hardened, to get you to understand what you're dealing with, right? And to put you in that mode for struggle so that when an opportunity arises, you take advantage of that opportunity, which is different from putting boots on the ground. Putting boots on the ground means that you're thinking, wait a minute, the revolution is going to happen next week, and it will be televised as I think it's Gail Scott Heron who may have uttered those words. The revolution will be televised. Everybody's anticipating, and we need 5,000 people boots on the ground for that revolution, right? And as I said, in sympathy with that mode of thought, because that's how human beings react. When you push them to the extreme, they think of taking extreme action against you. All right? But that's not how human beings operate. All right? And so therefore, I'm getting back to your arrest. Your arrest happened. The first thing people obviously, they're wrong to Kidaki, etc. And then let's put boots on the ground. All right. But as political people, we have to think about first getting legal defense and representation for you. We have to think about logistical things that have to be put in place. All right. And we have to think about what that means. We have to try to get into the heads of the rulers and to ask the question that you're asking, what did they have in mind? Where are they going with this? And the answer to those questions determine what we do. We don't decide what we do in a vacuum. All right? We decide what we do based on our analysis of where the rulers intend to go. And so that moment was your arrest was also a moment for us to think through, as you're asking me today, what their strategies are. All right? As I said, I got the call, and I immediately, we identified a lawyer. We called several lawyers. Most of them were in court. They called back afterwards. We got Nigel. Nigel, as usual, dropped everything he was doing and headed over to CID. I jumped into my car, rushed into Georgetown. I didn't even know where CID was because I didn't realize that there was this new CID on Vincent Road there. But I got there after Dion gave me directions. When I got there, I asked about you. They said you were in there. They asked who I am. I told them who I was, and they told me I could wait around. I can't go in to see you because I'm not legal representative. Shortly afterwards, Dion arrived, and shortly after that, Nigel Hughes and one of his lawyers arrived. Nigel asked for you. They said you were inside, and they will let the people inside know, and they asked us to sit. A couple of minutes later, you emerge with handcuff. Nigel tried to engage the investigators, the two investigators. They were mumbling, and so on. In any case, they whisked you across to Reinfeldt. We followed, and we got there. And they were about to book you. And nobody, not you, not me, not Nigel, nobody knew what would happen after then. And they happened to refer to you as a Negro. And your lawyer, Nigel, you said, no, you're not a Negro. You are an African Guyanese, and you're not going to respond to Negro. And the rest is history. Today, we are dealing with the fundamental question of getting the word Negro deleted from use by the police and by extension official circles. The rest is history. We caught the government flat-footed because they obviously were saying, well, I wonder what the WPA will do. Are they going to call on people to come on the streets? And are they going to attack? Are they going to this? Are they going to that? And so on. And they probably had the police and army ready to batter heads and so on and so forth. And while they're doing that, this story emerges. And their first response was the most stupid response because they were caught flat-footed. They didn't know what would emerge. They were thinking, we will have to deal with some Negroes coming onto the road and we are ready to bash their heads and so on and so forth. And they're confronted with this political missile in the form of Negro. And the first response from that loquacious man representing the state was that it has been used for 180 years. Why Nigerian News is raising it now? And he's raising two questions. One, he is dismissing Black people's concern as nothing. You know, oh, this thing being used to think. So he exposes the government's attitude to Black people, that Black people interests are nothing because they are nothing. And the second thing, he makes the connection between Nigel raising it and Jonathan Jackson's visit. And I can tell secrets to the public now. Nigel had no intention. Nigel was not thinking about Jonathan Jackson's visit. All Nigel was thinking about is that here is my client, and I am hearing this word Negro. This is not John Doe, this is Kitaki Amsterdam. And you are referring to him as a Negro. And Nigel then responds, as human beings must respond. The government then makes the connection between what he does and what and Jonathan Jackson's visit. And as Stokely Carmichael would say, and they did us a wonderful favor because they made a connection that we didn't make. The rest is history. I'm giving a lesson here this morning, brothers and sisters, that politics work in mysterious ways. And as political people, we always have to be ready. And Nigel Hughes was ready mentally, intellectually. He didn't wake up that morning and say, you know, Kidaki is going to be arrested and they're going to call him Negro and I'm going to raise him. Even when we call him and say Kidaki is arrested, he didn't say, bingo, I'm going there. I know they're going to call him Negro and I'm going to raise it. No. That's not how it happened. And then the government, taken by surprise, they did two turns. Nandalal spoke nonsense, which revealed a certain mindset that sees Black people as nothing. And that was enough to get Black people stirred up. So Nandalal stirred up Black people around this issue for us. He did us a wonderful favor because he got Black people vexed, not me. Even if Black people were about to say, man, when they gone again, they would have warned. Why we don't put boots on the ground? The minute Nandalal opened his mouth, he turned the moment into a moment of protest and resistance from African Guyanese standpoint, because African Guyanese, because of his response, they connected to the issue that was raised by Nigel Hughes. So what I'm talking about here, I'm talking about what CLR James referred to as that moment, that fusion of time, place, and person. Jonathan Jackson happened to be in Guyana, brought by the government, not by us. So it was a time when we are having this visitor and the focus of the world is on us, certainly the Black American world, because one of their own is here. The person, Kidaki Amsterdam, a talk show host who's been giving the government hell So we have the place, the time, the person, and the place is in the house of the state. The police station is the house of the state, the coercive arm of the state. So we have time, place, and person. And CLR James say, when you have the time, place, and person, and then you have a situation where the people have the capacity to absorb the energies that come from that fusion of time, place, and person. Because of the work that we have been doing, sensitizing African people to their own value, their own human value, they have developed or are fast developing a new consciousness. And so therefore they add the energy, they add the capacity, based on this new consciousness to absorb the vibes that came from that fusion of time, place, and person. And that's what is important in political action and ultimate revolution. All right? You don't plan it. You prepare for it. You prepare yourself as political people, as revolutionaries for it. You prepare the society for it. And you can always depend on the state to walk into that trap. That is that trap of history that is always set for them. And when they walk into that trap, once you get your people ready, they are able to absorb it. And that's when you have political action. So there weren't people on the streets. What happened is that a dormant issue, a fundamental issue, was raised as a result of your arrest and the presence of Jonathan Jackson in the country. When I heard Jackson was here and he was invited by the government, I said, I knew what their plan was. Their plan was to get a prominent Black American, because remember, we had changed our strategy, is that we had gone straight to the Black American community. All right? Because that's our quote unquote natural, those of us who are African Americans, it's African Guyanese, that's our natural constituency. And I had a quarrel with my comrades, not a quarrel, but an argument. Because when we were in Washington, as you would recall last year, there was an hesitancy among some comrades about addressing Hakeem Jeffries on the Black question. They felt the usual story, you know, people don't like dealing with race. And people are saying, you know, don't tell you about race, tell you about the government, what they're doing to Guyanese people. And I insisted, partly because of my training and my knowledge, because I was trained in African-American politics. I teach it. And so I understand how African-American politics work. And to you, I'm being modest, understandably so. I think I had a better understanding than my comrades about how it works. And I insisted on them that Black Americans understand certain things. They understand police brutality of Black people because they go through that every day. Their politics of protest and resistance, they understand that. They understand family, what is called link faith. That they understand that Black people in America, Black people in the Caribbean, Black people in Africa, wherever Black people are, we are one. And so therefore, when you speak to them in that language, they better hear your problem than when you speak to them in this kind of amorphous, general way. They will shake their heads. But the minute you say police brutality, the minute you say rocking down Black people's house, the minute you say the Black family, as Jonathan Jackson raised, he used the word family, all right? The minute you say those things, you get their attention. And I was able to get my comrades to agree that we are going to raise, but I had the burden of raising it. So when my 2 minutes came to speak to Hakeem Jeffries, I said to him, my brother, you know, we are here as African people to convey to you the suffering of African people in Guyana. And that you, as part of the Black Caucus, whose charter is not just to witness on behalf of Black people in America, but to witness on behalf of Black people all over the world. And that your Black caucus played a pivotal role in the anti-apartheid struggle that eventually freed Black people in Southern Africa. You played a pivotal role in the twists and turns of Haiti over the last 30, 40 years in the post-Papa Doc era. And you may well have another Haiti/South Africa on your hand in Guyana. And we have come here to alert you of that. When I was finished, Hakeem Jeffrey said, the professor is right. He's correct. He's correct. It is no accident that we named ourselves the Black Caucus and not the African American Caucus. It became clear to all of us in the room, he had heard us. He had heard us. And so because we have been targeting our brothers, our family in America, meaning the Black elected and unelected officials, the government quite tactically decided that they were going to target those same people. And so I understand after some, cordial exchanges when President Ali visited the Black Caucus, they then targeted Jonathan Jackson as a source. They felt they needed somebody on their side to tackle Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries comes from a political family. He's not, the family is as political as the Jackson family. So they decided they were going to tackle Jonathan Jackson because they feel that our golden boy is Hakeem Jeffries. So they wanted a golden boy, a Black golden boy. And so they decided to court Jonathan Jackson. And it's typically stupid because they do not understand Black people and how we operate. What they do understand is that they have to crush us, but they don't study us in a real sociological and scientific way. I always say that, their response to us is not a studied political response. Their response to us is a response that says these people were slaves, they are not first-class citizens, and you can bribe them with some rum, some money, and so on. That's their attitude to us, which is not a scientific sociological study of us. So they were easily, after probably Jackson smiled with them and so on, whatever happened in the interim, they felt confident that they could bring him to Guyana and to use him as their poster boy to push back against us with what they claim is our poster boy, Hakeem Jeffries. And that is how we came here. And we use the term backfire, right? And it's a fair term to use, but it's really an exposure of the PPP's inability to think of us as serious beings, as serious people. Had they said that, had they thought of us as serious people, they would have said, this is Jesse Jackson's son. This is a Black American. If they could explain to Hakeem Jeffries and Yvette Clarke their issues, then Jonathan Jackson must be aware of their issues. So perhaps he's not the best person to bring. Perhaps he's not the best person to bring, right? Or if we bring him, let us treat it as if this is a work in progress and be prepared for any eventuality. But because they feel that we are stupid, because they feel they can buy a couple of Black people in Linden and Buxton and wherever they buy them, they feel that they can buy any Black person. I've had PPP people who've approached me and said, David, the little brocodon car you drive in, you should not, a man of your stature, you need a better car. You want a car? I've had PPP people who have taken me into bonds with plenty computers and said, take any amount of computer you want, any number of computer you want, I'm going to share it to Black people. And I have turned my back on all of those things because I know what their evaluation of me is. And I am not going to play into their evaluation of me. Do I need computers to share to Black people if that is possible? Yes, but not from the PPP and the state. Would it be nice to drive a big fancy car? Of course, but not from the PPP and the state, right? You see, and so because they can buy a few people, they believe they can buy any African. And so they were confident they could have bought Jonathan Jackson. And it was based on their evaluation of us as less than intellectual beings. There's always been the feeling among anti-Black racists that Black people are driven by emotions and not what they call rationality. And so you look at a Black man, he live in a small house, and you go to him and say, "Boy, I'm going to give you a big house with 4 bedrooms." That he's going to look at this 1 bedroom house that he lives in with his 4 children and his wife, and going to say, "Boy, let me jump and go for the 4 bedroom." And he makes an emotional decision rather than a rational decision that says, when people who want to crush me offer me something, they have something in mind. That is what you call rational, intellectual thinking. They feel that we are devoid of that we are emotional. And so therefore they attack us in a certain way. What Jonathan Jackson was able to demonstrate to them, and what Nigel Hughes was able to demonstrate with that moment when he said, Kidaki is not a Negro. What those brothers were able to demonstrate was that African beings we are emotional. African Guyanese, African people, we are emotional, but we are also very, very, very rational. I stop there with my marathon answer.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I didn't realize I was muted, so I'm now unmuted. I was saying that a lengthy answer from Dr. Hines, but I'm sure a lot of persons have learned a whole lot from his answer, and so it's fitting. We needed that lengthy answer, right? Likewise, I am saying I'm going to play a video for us all, and we will talk with Dr. Hines in relation to that video. We have another one that has just bite the dust. That's Dionarain Jainarain. He thinks that the doctors are jackass. Nevertheless, they don't have any professors around them. You know, this is why they're so arrogant and ignorant. Right? As a matter of fact, I saw an earlier comment from some clown in the PPP camp saying that Dr. Hines, among others, don't want Black people to think for themselves. They want to, or we want to keep Black people in suppression, in oppression. Quite the opposite. The people who don't think in this country are the supporters, the followers of the PPP.
May I say something there, Kiraki?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I want to help Black people to think a certain way. I don't want people like them to influence Black people thinking. Yes. I am deliberately, every day of my activism, I am deliberately, among other things, trying to get Black people to think another way. Not to think that I don't want them to think for themselves. I don't want them to think wrong thoughts. And I earn the right to do that because I have been loyal to Black people all of my public life. I've been loyal to Black people, and I earn the right to take it upon myself to warn Black people to think a different way from where from how the PPP want them to think. I make no apologies for that. And now that they're saying it, I will put 5 times more energy into it to get us to think a different way.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. Let's listen to this. Man who went to the parliament and said, "Come to the circus," and therefore that is supposed to be a clown. Clowns go to circus, right? So I'm now unmuted. I was saying that a lengthy answer from Dr. Hines, but I'm sure. So I'm now unmuted. I was saying that
government policies,
but I'm sure
ideals are, and the governments formed by the PPP, what they mean to this country, and the distortion of the programs of the government, because these things are.
I'm playing the wrong clip here. Somebody, Dr. Hines, is it you that is feeding that? I'm playing the wrong clip here. Somebody, Dr. Hines, is it you that is feeding that?
Hello?
Yes, I was getting a feedback. So I was asking if it's coming from you.
I don't know.
All right. Let me try again. Let me see if we're going to get it right this time. Where's the thing there? All right, I think this is it.
Good afternoon, Trina Williams, Ghana Chronicle. Since we're on the topic of PNC's Congress, we've seen that their former treasurer, Mr. Merceline, came forth and said a number of things about the party and Norton, saying that he's power drunk, and even brought to light racial discrimination allegations, which are not new, but the party has constantly accused the PPP of being racist. What are your thoughts on this? And my second question is, can you comment on the irresponsible comments that were made on Kadaki's show?
Okay. So on the Kadaki issue, so when he was arrested, from what I gather, that there was an outcry from the WPA and some of these people who are the conscience of our society, saying that he was facing political persecution. And the police were a bit delinquent. They're slow to on these matters. So when it finally emerged what he actually allowed on his program, what he said to on the very same program, there is a section where he actually endorsed the view about not just the 4 being beheaded. And I don't know why they put me in this order. I was the first in the order to be beheaded, and my head being displayed by the seawall for people to see, to cut off my head. So but he actually said there are many others. There are many other 4s that we have to do. Basically, the similar thing to be, I guess, beheading people. This is the extremism of the WPA and the failed people who are there. So this party has gone a far way from Walter Rodney's vision of Guyana. They are a French party. Nobody knows about them. They live on past glories on the Walter Rodney era. And what we have are just racists there posing as though they're representing Afro-Guyanese interests. If you look at David Hines, he was part of the last government. He was getting a salary, I think. Not one day did he represent any Afro-Guyanese interest in the 5 years when APNU basically was decimating everyone. Indo-Guyanese, Afro-Guyanese, everybody. So I think the police have to address these matters seriously, not because it's personal, but because if we allow this violent rhetoric to take hold of our society, then it could lead to unintended consequences. And what he did was illegal and seditious. If you look at what he said, he wants to behead the head of state in Guyana, Irfan Ali too. So can you imagine somebody saying that about Granger? When someone made a threat about Granger somewhere a man was driving home and maybe somebody harassed him or something like that, and he said, "Oh, should do this," to Granger. There was a full-fledged commission of inquiry. A lot of policemen lost their jobs basically for that. Here you have on TV someone saying, "Chop off Irfan Ali's head." And you didn't see the paranoia of the PPP government. Imagine if there was real persecution. You would have a commission of inquiry by now. You'd have Kidaki, Amsterdam, and everybody else. Is Amsterdam is his name? Okay. Going in jail for already in jail. So you don't see paranoia in this government. But of course, the law must take its course. And that's what the police, they're doing. And so you're quick to jump up and say persecution, etc. These are useless fringe elements who have not done anything to advance the cause of Afro-Guyanese. They want to keep them as victims so they can be losers like they are. We don't want that. We don't want that. Nobody wants that in this country, particularly young people in this country too. They just want to change. They want to do things. They want to go places. They want to enjoy life as Guyanese. They want to achieve things. They want to acquire things. That's the mindset we're trying to instill in people, to want to acquire things and grow, not to just complain every day, complain about everything. And that's where these guys are. And I think they're bitter because their time, they spend their whole life on that. And maybe they're a bit jealous that young people and people of every race now are making progress in this country. That, I think, is bitterness from this set of people. And so I don't watch them particularly much. I don't waste my time. Now,
yeah, so that was Bar Jack Dio. Having a lot there to say about Kidaki Amsterdam. Having a lot to say about the WPA and the useless fringe, as he calls them, as he calls us. Dr. Hines, let me have some responses. I don't know if you want me to say the order, but I can. Let me note for you, though. The question came from Guyana Chronicle reporter. We know what happens over at the Chronicle. We know what happens over at NCN. And I don't know if they've retained the name DPI or it has gone back, but Gina, but we know what happens there. The editors script questions and they send them out to ask Bharat so that Bharat can get the opportunity to see what he has indicated to the editors he would like to see. Right? So those are the theatrics. But let me say the WPA is Jaggi has given the WPA a lot of handles there. An extremist, useless fringe, bitter people, all of these handles that would suggest, one is suggesting we don't matter, the other is suggesting that, we matter a great lot. Address that first, Dr. Nix.
Quite a lot there, Kadaki. Yes, it is clear that the scripted, the journalist commits a journalistic crime. Instead of asking the vice president to comment on the comments by Kiraki Amsterdam or the comments on Kiraki Amsterdam, so she gives it a value. She said they're unfortunate. That's journalistic crime.
No, she said they're irresponsible.
Irresponsible, sorry, irresponsible, journalistic crime. But anyhow, let me say one thing. I had something to do with the Guyana Chronicle during the time of the Granger administration, and I want to say something that is obvious, but is not often spoken about. That for 3 years, the Guyana Chronicle, when I had something to do with it, had 2 columnists who criticized the government in the pages of the Guyana Chronicle. Lincoln Lewis and I wrote editorials for the Guyana Chronicle. The editorial is the thing that lays out the policy of the paper, the overall policy. And I wrote the Sunday editorials among other editorials during the week, but the Sunday editorial. And then I did a Sunday column. And in the editorial, I would follow the line of the paper. The paper usually takes a pro-government line, and I would write an editorial reflecting the pro-government. And then I would write my own column on the same issue. If I feel that the line was wrong, I would write my column criticizing that line. And so in the state newspaper for 3 years, you had 2 African Guyanese, 2 supporters of the government, who were critical of the government when the government was wrong. Never happened in the state's own media before. Never happened before and never happened after. I can say here that Lincoln Lewis and David Hines made it possible for the state newspaper to have a columnist who were critical of the government when they felt the government was wrong. The government eventually removed Lincoln Lewis and myself stupidly because they fell into the foolishness in believing that a state newspaper must always support the government and didn't understand what Lincoln and I were trying to do. We were trying to turn the Chronicle into kind of BBC, where you go along with the policy of the government, but you also are critical of the government when the government is wrong. Because the paper is not a government paper. The paper is a state paper. Governments come and governments go. But the Chronicle, which is a state-owned paper, remains. And what we were trying to do was to change the Chronicle into a paper that supports the government, like all state newspapers tend to do, but also one where you have a side of the paper, a space in the paper to be critical of the government. And I said our government at that time didn't understand what we were trying to do. And they removed Lincoln and I from, removed our columns. We continued, after a break, we continued to do editorials even when we were removed as columnists. And I'm giving, these things are not secrets. I think these things the public should know. So under the coalition government for 3 years, the Chronicle was not the kind of Chronicle that you have now or you had before. That we had a Chronicle newspaper that supported the government, but was also critical of the government at the same time. And we don't get credit for it, but I'm tooting our own horn. And those who said that during the time of the Granger government, David Hines, never this, he was never critical, he was never this. David Hines supported the government, but he was critical of the government when the government is wrong. And that has been my political career. And I will always be that. Whether it is a PPP government, PNC government, WPA government, whatever the government is, I will. If I'm supportive of the government, I will do so. But if that government does wrong, I will say it's wrong. That's how I have been socialized as a political activist. Just want to say that in answer to Jack Dio, who said that I never lifted a finger, I never said anything when the coalition was in government or representing black people. I'm always representing black people. It doesn't care which government is in power. I'm always representing the interests of black people, poor people, and people who are being taken advantage of. Wherever I am, if I'm walking down the street, in the next hour, and I see advantages being taken of people, I represent them. I gave the example recently when I was waiting for you to be released last Thursday. There was a commotion across the street. I went across, and they were forklifting the stalls of some people who were selling outside Demico. And I intervened immediately, I intervened. And I asked the men, why are you doing this? Can these ladies are saying, give them some time, that they're going to remove the thing. And the men said that they're working with orders. Orders from who? They said the city engineer. I asked anybody has a city engineer number, and somebody gave me the number. I called the city engineer. And I was polite, and he was polite. He took my call. He listened to me. He said, Dr. Hines, these people have been given long notice to move, and they have not been moving, and I'm moving them right now. And I said, brother, these people are not out here skylarking or robbing anybody. They are out here trying to make an honest, and they got children at home. And whether they eat dinner tonight is dependent on what these ladies make here today. And to his credit, he listened to me. It was about 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or whenever it was. And he said, okay, Dr. Hines, thanks for representation. What is your request? I said, my request is to give them an extension of the time today. And he said, I can give them up to 3 o'clock. Is that okay with you? I turned to the people and I said, is 3 o'clock okay with you all? They reluctantly said, all right. They would have liked 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock and so on. But I'm giving you an example that I am always making representation for black people and for poor people and for people who the state and others take advantage of. Now let me move on to the substance of Jack Dio. Jack Dio, first of all, he libeled you. First he said you endorsed what the caller said. You did not. Then he said, you said what the caller said. You did not. That is clear libel. The next thing he did is that, as you said, he said the WPA is unimportant, and then he said the WPA is most important. Let me say this. All governments in Guyana or anywhere in the world will always be concerned about the WPAs of the world because we represent a tendency in the society. And that tendency in the society that always asks questions and that always say you're wrong when you're wrong. It's a tendency in society that no government can deal with. No government likes to deal with. My own government couldn't deal with me. Meaning the government that I supported, the coalition, couldn't deal with me and deal with the WPA. Because we are not your conventional set of political people who toe the line and say, well, because I will vote for you and you do wrong, I will not go say you're wrong. We are not that type. We vote for you, we are part of the government, but if you're wrong, we say you're wrong. And the reason we are telling you that you are wrong, you are our own, and we are telling you wrong, is that tomorrow, the party that we didn't vote for is going to do wrong, and we will have the moral authority to tell them they are wrong. And that is what the PPP has to deal with. That we are telling them they are wrong. And we are saying we are not mincing matters. You're wrong to black people more than you're wrong to other people in Guyana. You're wrong to other people, but you're wrong to black people more. And we want votes, but we are not prepared to throw black people under the bus because we want to get some Indian votes or Portuguese votes or whatever votes there are out there. right? We are not prepared to throw black people under the bus in order to get some crossover votes. And Jack Dio knows that, and so he knows that we're a different kettle of fish. So in trying to delegitimize us, he says, under the coalition, we didn't criticize the coalition. So he's suggesting that our in-your-face politics with them is something that has to do with them. No, it not has to do with you all. It has to do with governance. And you all have taken it to the extreme, and we're in your face, and will always be in your face. Here is what Jack Dio and them can deal with. We in the WPA are informed people. We took opportunities to go to school. Let us call we intellectuals and a party of intellectual and academic. We are proud of it. One of the things Guayana always did with all of us, we had to go to school. And he took time out to create school so that we can go to. He taught all of us. And education, we educated ourselves. That's one thing they can't deal with. That we take education seriously. We educated ourselves, and we are in the process always of educating our society. They can't deal with that. They can't deal with people who are educated, but also not only that we are educated, but we are also sharing our education with people every day. You can't deal with that. That is the most destabilizing thing for any government. For any government. And so, therefore, he has that problem with the David Hines and the Kidaki Amsterdam and all of us, because we are not damn fools. And they understand that. Some of us may have gone on to university and so on. I'm not just talking about university education here. I am talking here about basic education. Whether it be high school education, primary school, we are people who take education seriously. We educate ourselves, and so therefore we are best placed always to educate our people. And our education is not just to enhance ourselves. Our education is an education for liberation. An education for liberation. And so therefore, Jack Dio and no government can deal with that. The WPA, as an idea, as a party, as an organization, is always a disturbing presence in any society. And it's most disturbing for governments that have agendas that are aimed at crushing people. And so when they look up, they have to deal with the Kidakis, the Clive Thomas, the Ogunses, whether it's 10 of us, 20 of us, 4 of us, they have to deal with our disturbing presence, because we stand between them and their agenda to crush the Guyanese people. And so he is responding to that. And he's saying that we are extremists. Yes, we are extremists for education. We are extremists for liberation. We are extremists for justice. We are extremists for equity and equality. Yes, Jack Dio, we are extremists. You are extremists, but you are extremists for injustice. You are extremists for bad governance. You're extremists for dictatorship. You're extremists for apartheid. You're extremists for everything that we know that is negative in governance of this country. So yes, there are 2 types of extremists in Guyanese society. They're the Jack Dio extremists, who are the extremists for evil, the extremists for injustice, and they're the extremist WPA, who are the extremists for justice. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. And whether you like it or not, we are always going to be here. If you move me, someone else will take my place, because this is not about me, and it's not about somebody getting up and saying, I want to do this. This is a process. And I'm telling you, Mr. Jack, if you never hear me before, I'm telling you that I am here to stay. And the WPA is here to stay. And so long as you are going to want to crush black people, we are going to tell you you're crushing black people. We're not going to nice it up. Well, you are crushing poor people. You're not crushing black people because they're poor. You're crushing them because they're black. And we are going to tell you that. And you don't like that because you're a damn racist. And I don't call people racist easily. But I'm calling you, Jagdio, a racist because you've demonstrated beyond any doubt. And you know what you do with racists? You move them out the way. You move them out the way. You move them out the way. And that is what we are struggling to remove you out of the political arena. Go and do something else with your life. Not govern. You should not be governing. We are moving you out of governance. Go and do something else with your life. Go and educate yourself better because you are so uneducated in politics. I'm sure you read your economics books and you think I always say when it comes to numbers and things, you know that good, you can come good, but you cannot do good. Is that you cannot analyze things good. Go and do some analysis. Leave our government alone. Get out of the way. And if you don't get out of the way politically, we are going to remove you by removing your party from office. And we are struggling to do that. We are preparing our people to do that. And we are saying in no uncertain term. And for obvious reasons, the majority of East Indians are with you. We can't stop that. They have a right to. But the majority of Africans have seen through you. They're not with you. And we are mobilizing them. We are mobilizing them as Africans. We are mobilizing them as poor people. We are mobilizing them as people who are oppressed so they can use the vote and other opportunities they have in the democratic process to move you out the way so that you can go in your old age and go and become like David Hines, educate yourself in the intellectual understanding of the world we live in.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. Some people would say there's a broadside. Yes.
I hope it's broad enough.
You know, this label of extremism by Jack Dio. I've seen the label of extremism used across the world to, as I would say, try to gain the sympathy or perhaps empathy of international governments and so on. Because usually with the label of extremism comes the label of terrorism and so on. Is that what Jaggi is trying to make the WPA?
That's where he's going. That's where he's going with that. That is where he's going with that.
And so what benefits would the PPP have by labeling the WPA a terrorist organization, let me call it that?
They're trying to influence those who make the decisions, both in Guyana and outside of Guyana, on issues of extremism. He's trying to influence them. Biden got to school for nothing. Being the WP and go to school for nothing. I'm a better influencer than Jack Dio. When it comes to reasoning, he may be a better influencer when it comes to unreason. But when it comes to reasoning, I am saying here this morning, I'm a better influencer. So if he going down that road, I'm going down the road with him. What he has over me is that he can jail me today. But jail me today, but there will be a tomorrow. When you jail me, you better kill me so that I'm gone. Because your time will come when you lose that power that you have now. And you will have to face the music.
Okay. No, they happening. Yes, we are still with the program. It's 8:30. I usually open up the lines at around this time. We're talking about. Now, one would believe that with all of these handles and labels given to the WPA as, at least among them, if I say that, useless fringe elements, the PPP doesn't have to become as desperate as it is appearing to label the political party a terrorist organization, an extremist organization to get it out of the way. Are we that impactful on the local scene that they have to do all that they're trying to?
Well, Jagdio has to make that decision. I've said enough about us, and they're making a decision. I just want to say to Mr. Jagdio that you today have control of the state apparatus, and you're using it indiscriminately. You're using it disproportionately against your opponents. Know that you have to, when you leave office, you're leaving that very state. And you're leaving that very power in the hands of those who come after you. I can tell Jagdio one thing, that when the government changes and the new government is in control of the state, and they then turn the state apparatus on him, out of a matter of human rights and principle, I will stand up for your right. I will stand up for your right. I will stand up for your right as a human being. But I will also point out what you did to others, what you did to Kidaki Amsterdam, what you did to Ogunse, what you did to all those black people that you have tormented. You have tormented for 30 odd years. I will stand up for your right when the tables are turned. I will stand up for your right, because no matter how much you're a scoundrel now, even scoundrels even scoundrels should have human rights. But I will also, as I'm standing up for you, remind people what you did to others. It's not too late to stop. If it's up to you, it's up to you. But I'm saying to you, there is life after Jagdio. There is life after the PPP. And what you are doing to people today, that very state is going to turn to you. You remember when they put you in the docks at Wim Magistrate Court? You remember when they put you there? You now have power. You were meek as a lamb in that dock. And now you are using state power indiscriminately against your opponents. And that power will not remain in your hands forever. Jah would never give the power to a bald-head. Never give the power to a bald-head. Right? And you're a bald-head. I'm not talking about this kind of bald-head. I'm talking about the Rasta meaning of bald-head. The Rasta meaning of a bald-head. The Rasta meaning as a bald-head. You're a Babylon. You are Babylon. And if you know what is the Babylonian history and the Babylonian meaning, your time is going to come when this very state you are using against your opponents will watch you full in your face. And I wonder what you will say there. David Hines will defend you, will defend your right as a human being, but I will not defend your right as a politician. I will defend your right as a human being, but not as a politician, because as a politician, you're a damn political thug.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. It's 26 minutes to the 9 o'clock. All the lines are now open. You're tuned to the Guyanese Morning Time. Call and let's talk the thing. We have some voice notes. I can at least start with one of them while I await your calls.
Good morning, Kidaki. Good morning, Dr. Hines. Good
Call all the line.
morning, listening viewers. Jagdio, the boundary.
All right, I know you have a lot to say, but if you don't allow the voice note to complete,
Can do as long as he.
All right, let's see if you
can do what he likes, but not as long as he like. But like trouble any more Buxton people. Dr. Hines stay put. Kidaki then can't do you nothing. There is a no case submission and the matter with throughout. Diane they can't do you nothing. Because them betters make Buxton people put foot. Them betters make the Buxton people put foot. Because they got sorry. They got sorry. Jagdio then looking for a bloodbath. But they not get it. So they want to start it with Buxton people. They want to start it with the Buxton people. people. But let a ballad oppressor carry on. Let it carry on.
Call A Live. Good morning.
Morning, Kadaki. Morning, Dr. Hines.
Morning.
Kadaki, I think I mentioned this thing to you before. Chad, you're saying that Dr. Hines, or you did nothing for black people or what's that like. Let me say this to Chad to you. My daughter who listens to this program, whenever she sits in the car with me, she was just listening to it, right? She decided, she just started college, she's 17, and she decided her minor will be political science. You know why? And she said it to her mom, it's because of the program that daddy plays. And it's very interesting and educational. You have only make an impact. The two, you have only make an impact on kids or people in Guyana. You're making an impact on people here. She decided to change. And she is not an easy little child. When you sit and listen to her, she knows what's up. You understand? And you, Kadaki, and you, Dr. Hines, thank you for what you're doing. Number two, Jad, you're talking about education. Everybody talking about us. There's a show, and my wife is a real doctor in education. You understand? We got her thing from Nova Southeastern, a real doctor in education. There's a show there that names something like What You Know or something like that in Guyana. Oh, How Bright You Bright. My wife listened to that thing 3 times and she was like, this is nauseating. I now see why the government is not focusing on education. When you listen to the government's people, the Indian people she made, when you listen to them and the answers that they give, it's frightening. Number two, she even went into the person's interview and she said, look, accent is okay. There's nothing wrong with accent. But enunciation and pronunciation is a problem. We don't have that. We do not have that. She said our education system is in the dump and it's deliberate by PPP because they want to keep a nation dumb. And keeping a nation dumb, you will be king forever. So, Jadil, listen to this. You want to be king forever, but Dr. Hines is going to educate us, our people, and he has made an impact. He and Kadaki has made an impact on my daughter, who's going to do political science. She's doing political science as her minor. Have a good day.
Thank you for your call. Call A Live. Good morning. Good morning.
Listening, about it's like you're listening to. It's like you're listening to an insane person. You could go fit when talking. You could see the lines. You could see the uncomfortable. He's so accustomed lying. He's so accustomed lying on every one of his programs. Yeah, let me play for education also. No young boys can tell them play back Jack Deal clips as a farmer, president, and them think to get some teaching. And them think sheer arrogance. He could stand up talking, and you know what that sounds like to do? He shelter under the state powers. To do we do 20 people that you see will go crossing over and being a part of the PPP and all. I think it's because it's stifling the soul of economic empowerment, stifling the soul of a good living. The vendors do stifle them up. Them are not going to try. But it's over to them. If you listen to some of these people talking, we got to live where we going to do. We want to lose, we walk. And this is that you feel so nice about. You understand? This is so nice about it. When Dr. Hines program, talking that Dr. Hines don't think I know that they're listening that when I got missed up to talk about you will miss the job, you use job deal. And I know you're listening, you talking about Dr. Hines. I just teach, we just plenty of us just teach our children, we just encourage our children to tune in to Dr. Hines because educational program for people. He make goosebumps raise on people. You hear that it is yes on the panel, intelligent guests up to last night. We had Brother JHK Lal, information, educational program that you talking about Dr. Hines don't teach nobody. You can come close to Dr. Hines when it comes to enlightening Guyanese, especially Africans. Guyanese in the whole, the chose this command on the program, and they stay right through. They don't cross and go off, they stay right through. And you see the pulling themselves together now, they get the conversation now. So that means you have to take up on it. You're evil, you're wicked, and at that time, it's just the time with you. It's just time, and I know you're trembling because you know the time coming. Your time will come. You're the most wicked and the most evil politician that ever graced the shore of Guyana. It has none that is wicked as you. And it's your time coming. Your time coming and it's close. I'm telling you that your time coming. You're wicked. Thank you, brothers.
Call your life.
Let's good morning to you, Mr. Kadhafi, Science, and the rest of the Guyanese nation. God bless your program. Mr. Hines, you don't have to give Jagdo that kind of satisfaction. Because he don't deserve that. He do not deserve. Let me tell you, and let me make it clear. I am not a politician. I belong to no party. But you know why I listen to you and Mr. Kadhafi? Almost every program I get the opportunity after my devotion and this thing. Because it makes sense and y'all stand up to exactly what y'all looking and y'all speak truth to power. And y'all is an example of what y'all are teaching and what y'all are preaching. And for you, Mr. Hines, you guys said, when he was in power, I used to listen to you. And you used to advise them, you used to give them constructive criticism. That if they take the advice, I myself say, on many occasions, that if we had them to take the advice when they given them at that time, maybe, just maybe, they might still be in power now. I might have said that on several occasions. So you always stand up for what's right, and continue to stand for what's right. And it's not that if the African, this and African now, you are a man that born with that ability. It's a blessing you and Mr. Kadhafi have. And please, y'all continue to share your blessing with the African nation. Don't matter what party I go with all humanity, but most of all the African benefit a lot from it because they are marginalized universal rights. The reason why I speak to my righteous mind and heart, family or friends or brother and sister, whether Indian or not Indian. Because the people with the righteous mind and heart, those are the righteous minded people that I speak about. I'm the only with race, same way y'all deal with race. But y'all know that the African being marginalized more than any race, and y'all liking that. And you have a right. And Mr. Jagdio, stop pretending you call yourself a vice president, sir. And imagine you going on a program where a man cussing up every day. People calling and advising that man, stop using indecent language. Children here and there, I don't let put on a station. Don't come from a station. What example is that bar setting for the Guyanese nation, the young generation? We know you got a program, and why? Many young children listen. Can they learn from what he's saying? Can he teach the young? If he can't teach the young, why is he teaching the old? Why you are going right there and as a vice president, as a the president, I asked for the party was here. And none of y'all can advise him. And he's the one that pushing the thing about Kadhafi. And Kadhafi ain't call for nobody here. We know the truth. Mr. Vice President, you know the truth. Stop pretending and let the truth set us free. Stop pretending and stop running behind Mr. Hines and Mr. Kadhafi there. And God bless them. Who God bless? No more course. Have a blessed day, guys. We're going to get there by the grace of God. All my Indian brother and sister and all my African all across the board, we love each other. Let's continue in righteousness and stand up against the wickedness and evil that the government is putting in this country. Have a blessed day, Mr. Kadhafi.
Thank you for your call. Call your life. Call your life.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Kadhafi. Good morning, Dr. Hines. So, my point to you this morning, I am saying the first point is I think you should sue the VP for $1 billion because we could do with some money. Number two, the the WPA is here to stay. And they realize that WPA is the new third force in Guyana because you know what is going on? The WPA right now is carrying the weight that PNC is supposed to be carrying. I mean, they're doing the thing, yes, but a lot of people tune in here. When it gets too much for us, we will tune out and cool out and come again because I know for me, I've been taking break because it's too much for me and I got to relax and come back. And over to Dr. Hines, I would say to you, you are one of our elders, and if nobody else, you have the right to talk for Black people. You have the right to talk for Black people. And Dr. Hines, you said that you're going to stand up and think for Jack Dio. You do no such thing because you know what? I'm going to be picketing you then. Because if he could do wrong things to people, he must feel it when his time come around. So you represent us. Don't go, he got his representation when the table's going to turn. So you have a wonderful day, you and Dr. Hines, and God bless you as always. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you for that voice note. That call, as a matter of fact. As they say, the calls are coming fast and furious. Should I take a pause on the calls, Dr. Hines? You want to respond to anything?
Well, I just want to say that I'm glad our people are responding to my statement that I will stand up and defend Jack Dio as a human being. And I want them to know that as frustrated as our people are, as angry as they are, I am not socializing our people to become anti-human. Note I said, I will defend this right as a human being because I am a human and one's humanity should be beyond reproach when it comes to human rights. If a new government is denying Jack Dio's human right, I will stand with him. And I am saying to our supporters, do not allow them to make you become inhuman. But I will not stand up for him. I will not stand up for him as a politician. That when the law takes its course with him, when a government changes, he will not get my support at all. My defense is human right. He will not defend my human right because he doesn't see the value of humanity. He doesn't. And if you don't see the value of humanity, you are becoming less than human. And so I want to say to our people, as frustrated as you are, do not lose your humanity. I will defend Jack Dio and whoever else if their human rights are being trampled on. But when it comes to the politics and the law and the politics take their course, they will not get my support. Jack Dio is trampling my human rights, your human rights, Kedaki's human rights. And I am not taking an example from his book. He is not going to be the standard by which I measure my political activism. I will defend the human rights of every single human being. But when you do political wrongs, as Jack Dio is doing now, when the tables turn and the political machinery and the legal machinery take their course against you, you're not going to get my support.
Thank you, Carter, for holding your life.
This flu and his whole body pain. Anyway, moving along. Dr. Hines was talking forcefully about the visit of the congressman. You know, when they brought this girl, I think Letitia Wright, she came from England. That is one of the ABC countries. And she completely ignored her race, her African race. But you got Kasha Negro. She, after being in the Black Panther, people thought that she had the sense and the intelligence of the picture that she starred in. And they thought she would have been like she would have been like a Jesus in the land, but she was nothing. Then they went to America and they brought this man, and they thought that he would have operated as her. But what the PPP didn't know, that this man who came from America was a person who did he's an educated person, and he did history, and he know about all the things that Africans went through. Even now from the time of Moses in the Bible with Joseph's story, how he had to lead the people. So a person like that, who made up his mind to know of his roots properly, could have handled the PPP. But the PPP believed that every African who may come to this country may be Negroes like those who are in the party, from the Prime Minister, right away down to the lowest Negro that is in the PPP party.
Rondo.
Yeah.
Rondo.
Yeah,
I will disconnect you if you ever again use the word Negro on this program.
All right. Henry Jeffrey was one, but when he became an African, he had to run out of the party. Now, when you listen to Barrett, we can now clearly say that the entire PPP government do listen to our programs and pay rapt attention to all its contents, because I cannot go on no place and talk about what this Kossop man does say, because I don't see him as a person that I could waste my time to listen to. So right now, for programs like yours and Dr. Hines and Mark, we have got the PPP fully engaged, and for certain terms that the vice president brought out, they are liable terms, because the things that he have said against you and Dr. Hines and the WPA party can be taken to court, because you could get charged for liable. And we got to remember that if we were not making sense, and he knows that we're making sense, because when he listened to Dr. Hines, he knows Dr. Hines is a doctor. Dr. Hines did his long paper and his thesis, and he deserves the name that he's being called, unlike him. So we were always having them to listen to us. And let me tell you, we got to continue to set our programs to that high standard, that we could have the intellectual lazy, as Amanza Walton called them, to be tuned in, and listening to us at every beck and call. That means to them, we are making headway. And if the PPP did not feel threatened, they would not have looked to try to pull down people from these parties who they realize that have the masses attached to them. They would not have done that. And they see that they've got problems, but I want them to know that we are going to get there. And no matter what they try to do, our leaders, we will still be standing with them. Wherever they go, we will be standing with you. And we must take it upon ourselves that we will be a force to reckon with whenever the installed president calls the date for election. He doesn't have the right to call the date. We want it from the installed president. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your call. All right, it's 5 minutes to the 9 o'clock. Mama, let me see. I think there are a few voice notes I'd like to play. Please don't send any more. Let me play the voice notes, then we'll have Dr. Hines respond.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam and Dr. Hines. I am so disgusted with this bullyism by the PPP government and Mr. Jack Dew. Now there's the government and the opposition. They don't want no opposition. Is Guyana, Russia, and other countries like Russia? People can talk freely as long as you don't threaten nobody's life. I don't know what is the matter with these people. Guyana doesn't belong to them. They're doing things so overtly. They're discriminating more so on African, on Afro-Guyanese. Afro-Guyanese. And our people, some of us don't stick together. United we stand, divided we shall surely fall. If we don't stick together, it will fall. This government, they need to be voted out. And Nandalal talking about Negro and Negro. Why you don't talk about Coolie and Coolie? This man claimed to be, he working for the Guyanese people, not the government alone. He seems to be working for the PPP party. And the Guyana police force is an arm of the PPP party. I don't know, but you know what? Weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. They could do as much as they can, but not as long as they want to.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam and Dr. David Hines. Is the progress that Jack is talking about, is the progress that you're not paying teachers? You're running people from off the street from their livelihood when you're saying that people sit down and don't want to do anything. Now people going out on the street looking to get little stalls and something to turn over to bring in an income to their families. You don't want to pay the nurses. You don't want to pay the public servants. When you yourself stand up in Parliament and say, if you're going into government, you can afford to give 50%, now 20, 25% you don't want to give anyone. Is that the progress what you said young people is seeing and getting? When you're locking them up every day, you're shooting them on the street every day, you want to shut up people, they can't have freedom of speech and even freedom of movement. We can't stand up for our rights. What kind of freedom and progress is he talking about? When people are hungry, when people are starving, children at home can't go to school because you doesn't want to pay the teacher, and I hope that this union don't let down these teachers, because the only body is flip-flopping right now, it's the union. Is the union, because the government whole said they're not going to be whole as jurists, but they're holding the teachers as jurists and the union as jurists because they're saying go back and then talk. And we are saying talk, give us so much that we can get something concrete and we will go back. But they're not bending, they're not budging. And the teachers and the union keep flip-flopping. Oh, don't bother with 2019, give me from 23. Don't give me from this time. Why the union keep flip-flopping and the government not budging? Just like how the government not budging, don't budge. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for what we want, what we need, what is best for us. When the teachers get money, when the public servants get money, those of us who are at home or self-employed would have a better life. Our children would have a better life. But only the few at the top want a good life. Come on. We are suffering as Guyanese, as Black people. We are suffering.
Could
Kadaki, good morning to you and your listeners. Dr. Hines, you are my mentor. You are good. You are kind. You are nice. I love you, Dr. Hines, because I learn a lot from you each day. I don't miss your program. Listening to Bharat Jagdeo this morning, Bharat Jagdeo is a presumptuous liar. Looking at his face and watch him lying, oh my goodness. These people, we have to get them out of office by all means necessary. They had to go. Bharat Jagdeo and them have to go. They're not good. They are not good people. Nanlal demonstrate to the world that is a racist, is a racial Indian man. They cares nothing about black people and giving the world the impression that they so care for blacks. And they not. Bharat is a racist, Ali is a racist, Nanlal is a racist, the whole party is a racial party. I don't know how those black people surviving inside of there amongst them. A whole PPP, it rotten, it's smelling, it stink. Oh my God.
Thank you for your voice notes. Thank you for your call. It's 2 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. Dr. Hines, one thing I don't think I had asked you to address, and I want you to, if you would be kind enough, address in the in your closing. Dr. says that people are making progress. People are making progress. Black people especially are making progress. People, and we want to keep them oppressed. People don't want oppression, they want progress. And so they're making progress, and apparently they should be happy with what they're getting under this government. Your remarks, closing on all.
Well, if black people are making progress, then I want more progress. I don't see what progress he's talking about, but if he's saying black people are making progress, if the state that they're in now, if they're getting 6.5%, the teachers, and he's calling that progress, then I want more. Give them 20.5, give them 25.5. If you're calling 6.5 progress, all right, if for you that is progress, all right, well, I want more progress. I want 20%, I want 25%. Those chaps are lunatics. I am very grateful to our people, very grateful to the callers this morning. Congratulations to the young lady who we have inspired to take a certain direction in our studies. And I know there are many others who are doing the same, and I would like to encourage them to continue. Here's the difference between us in the WPA and the rest. It is because we do not mince words. You see, they would like us to say, well, you know, the PPP is discriminating against Guyanese. You know, and they will say, oh no, discriminating against Guyanese? Look at what's happening at Port Morant. Look at what's happening at Albion. Look at the big roads that we are building. Look at Guyanese who come over to the PPP, what they're doing. What makes a difference is when we say you have a special form of discrimination for African people. Oh God, that is what gets them angry, because then once you say that, people can now say, all right, let me go to African Guyanese and let me look at the progress they're making. Let me go to teachers, 6.5%. Let me go to sugar workers. Yes, sugar workers need more, but my God, they got 250,000. They come on the road one day and they say the PPP, the government owes them a month's salary. The next day they get a month's salary. So you see, when we tell the truth and we don't varnish it, and we say, you are discriminating, period, but you have a particular form of discrimination for the darkest of us, the black people, the African people. And we go down and we show from the licking down their homes, licking down their stalls, spitting in their faces, locking up their lawyers, murdering their sons in bed, and you can go down. And you said, this is what you are doing to Africans. You see, sometimes you have to be clinical in analysis and in struggle. When you say Guyanese people are suffering, you will say, well, Guyanese people are suffering because the price in the market high. If I get $10 in my pocket and the price for something is $10, I can afford it. If I got $2 in my pocket and the price of something is $10, I can't afford it. So we are giving the PPP an out when we don't identify the areas of discrimination that are special, and it is the African Guyanese. And what they're trying to do is to beat African Guyanese in submission because they want to create a one-party state. So they're saying to African Guyanese, don't worry, David Hines, don't worry, Darby Norton, don't worry, the PNC, WPAFC, don't worry them. Come to the PPP. We're gonna give you $200,000. And you go to the PPP and they give you $200,000. But you don't know that they're giving the other party, the other group of people, 2 million. And so therefore, you are not getting nothing. How do you know that they have no need for you? They hold their elections and not one of you in their powerhouse. Not one of you in the seat of power. And so what they're angry at us for is that we are saying you have a special discrimination for black people because they are the ones who are going to stand between you and total domination of this society. We understand our Indian brothers and sisters, the majority of them are going along with you out of racial solidarity, not because they agree with what you're doing, but they're going along with you for racial solidarity. So they are not going to stand in between you and total domination. But African people, the majority of us, because we are being hammered, we are not going to go along with you. And so therefore, you have to find ways and means of forcing us to go along with you. But when you listen to some of us activists, we are saying to our black people, don't fall for that, smell a rat. And we are educating our people. We are encouraging our people. We are giving our people the strength so that they can stand up for you. And that is why they want to jail us every 2 minutes. They feel that when they do that, 2 things will happen. One, we will retreat. And second, if we don't retreat, the African people will retreat from us because they will fear that they will get locked up too and they will get brutalized. You see? And so, therefore, they have their strategy work out, and we are the fly in the ointment because we are backing them up against the wall. They're trying to say we are violent. Where the violence is coming from? Where the violence? We never went with bulldozer and bulldoze anybody's homes. We never shot anybody in their beds. We never kill black Quindan Bacchus, Indian Quindan Bacchus, or Amerindian Quindan Bacchus. We don't have blood on our hands. We do not. The violence comes from one direction. But they're trying to say we are violent because they want to justify their violence on our people. And so they're saying that Kedaki Amsterdam is promoting violence and David Hines is promoting violence and all that kind of nonsense. And so, therefore, their strategy, and we are calling out their strategy. We don't have to resort to violence. We do not have to resort to violence. We have more potent tool than violence. Giving our people consciousness is greater than any form of violence. Why would I want to see Jagdio head on the seawall. No, I don't, because if he had gone to the seawall, we cannot get justice when the state power is removed from him. We won't get him to go and stand up in court and to pay for his sins. I do not want his head on the seawall. I do not want their heads on the seawall. I do not want them to be murdered. I do not want violence against them. I want them to be alive, to face the music of justice. And so this thing about violence is not part of our playbook, because violence will defeat our purpose. You kill them and what? No, they are the killers, not us. Not us. We want them alive. I want them. I pray every day for Jagdio not to die even of natural causes, because I want to watch him when the time comes and he has to face justice, face the wheels of justice for the atrocities that he and his government are committing against the Guyanese people, and in particularly against the African people. So if some of our supporters want them dead, I am disappointing you all again. No, I do not want them dead. I do not want violence against them. I want them to be alive and well, to face the music of justice. I do not want to see their heads on the seawall or anywhere. I want them to be alive so that on that morning, when the bell rings and justice beckons, that they will be there to answer for the sins, the political sins that they've committed against our people. So I want to make it clear where we stand on the question of violence. When Kidaki Amsterdam said, I do not subscribe to violence, it's not political rhetoric. It's what comes from deep inside him. Because as a political party, as a political group, we say that every day. Nobody in the history of the WPA, and we have been around since 1974, nobody can say that the WPA has ever been complicit or part of the killing of any political opponent. Never, ever. Whether we were out of power or in power. Never, ever. And I always say about the Ranger government that we were part of. Whether we were a junior partner or not, we were part of it. It is the only government in post-colonial Guyana that did not engage in political assassinations. And we are proud of that. We are proud of that. So when Jagdio is talking about violence, it's to cover his own violent intent. I have been a political prisoner under Burnham. I was never in a cell with other persons accused of crimes. When I was in jail, I was never part of the general jail population. I'm saying that even under the worst, what they're calling the worst of Guyana under Burnham, as political prisoners, we were not exposed. Imagine putting Kidaki, a political person, a public person, in a cell with 5 other inmates. You don't know who those people were. And that is what you are doing to your political opponents. Burnham never did that. Burnham never did that. As Brother Ogunse said, Burnham police never shot at him. The PPP police shot at him twice. And so this nonsense that they're peddling about violence and violence and violence, they are the violent people. And it is not just the physical violence, it's the economic violence. But our people have to wake up in the morning and can't find proper food for their children. There's nothing more violent than that. Nothing more violent than that. When you're removing poor people from the public space where they're trying to make $1, black people, black women who have their children to feed, and you're mowing down their stalls under the name of beautifying. I don't have any problem in beautifying. I don't have any problem in making sure that you don't encumber the pathways and so on. But those people have to be where people are, because that's how you sell. You can't go to the back dam. If you go to the back dam, it's only the few farmers there you will sell to. You have to sell in the open space. And it is the duty of the government to portion out the space so that pedestrians are able to use the space, so that big businessmen are able to use the space, and poor black women are able to use the space. And when you're denying them that space, that is economic violence of the highest order. When you spit in that lady Buller's face, that young woman, you push her into obsoleteness. We are not hearing of that sister. I was asking the other day, where is that sister? You shame her. You shame that young lady. And now she's not even in the public space. That is the kind of violence that you're doing to Guyanese people, poor people, and in particular, African people every day, every single day. When you look at teachers who have to dress up to go to school, they can't go to school in any tear-up nonsense and old clothes. They have to take food to school. They have to dress nice to school. They have to be able to educate themselves, teach themselves to talk properly, to read properly, and to write properly. And you are telling them that I am just giving you 6.5% of $80,000. That is economic violence of the highest order, Jagdio and company. And you are accusing the WPA of violence, extremism. You're only doing that to cover your own violent intent and the violence that you are committing right now against our people. And we are saying in the Working People's Alliance, our muscles cannot, our political muscles cannot match the muscles that you have in terms of state power. But we have other muscles that are greater and firmer than yours. We have the capacity and the ability, and we have the courage to say to our people, we are preparing you by giving you the consciousness, by giving you the confidence, by giving you the wherewithal so you can stand up to these political monsters. That's what we have. We have that muscle to do that, and we are using it. And if it drives fear in you, then we are happy to know that we will drive more fear in you, because that is the order of the day. You have the muscle of the state. We have the muscle of the ancestors, the muscle of justice, and we have the support of our people because they know that they have our support. Mr. Jagdio, my message is clear. I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. If I have to leave and go and work so that I don't have to depend on your government to eat, I will do that. But every time I get a break from work, I'm physically here. And in between work, even when I'm not physically here, I am with the struggle. I am going nowhere. And that young lady who's going to study political science, and all the other young ladies and young men who are doing things to form themselves up, they are going to take my place, our place, if you decide to physically remove us. We understand that you have troops and plainclothes people covering Buxton from corner to corner. I hear one of your mouthpiece, Freddie Kissoon, I noticed he said, all that Ogunse can depend on is a small strip on the East Coast, referring to Buxton as a small strip of land. Well, if it is only that small strip of land that we do have something. We do not own Buxtonians. We do not commandeer Buxtonians. We are Buxtonians. And if you fear Buxtonians, then yes, you must fear. You must fear. You must not go to sleep at night happy. You must not go to sleep at night believing all is well. We are here to make you uncomfortable. And that is what we will continue to do. And if you have the power of the state and you're going to use that against us, we're not going to run and go anywhere. We're going to stand up and take it. But know that by the grace of God and the spirit of our ancestors, God and the ancestors will inspire our people to do what is right. It is the electoral arena that we have before us. But we have to mobilize our people to take advantage of the electoral arena, to make the electoral arena a revolutionary arena. And we will create our revolution at the polling place. But we first of all have to make the polling place a place of revolution by making it equal, by making it fair. So our task, our battle is twofold: to prepare our people for the claim on justice. And if you want to still my voice, as the poet Martin Carter says, no, I will not still my voice. I have too much to claim. So if you see me looking at your hands or listening when you speak or marching in your ranks, know that I do not sleep to dream, but I dream to change the world. And the world is Guyana. I dream to change Guyana sooner rather than later. To Marnin Mo.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. Thank you for your closing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for the fight. Viewers, thank you for tuning in. I must remind you, Brother Takuma is going to court today, this afternoon, at Visions Magistrates Court. Is it 1 o'clock, Dr. Hines?
Yes, at 1 o'clock.
Yes. I will return to court on the 10th. I understand Robin Simon is going to court on the 10th.
Takuma is going back on the 10th also.
Takuma is going back to court on the 10th. Right? So,
and our brother Malcolm Harry Paul, who was also charged for cybercrime, Indo-Guyanese brother, who was charged for cybercrime, when his only crime is that he said to Jagdion, the people, stop taking advantage of black people, and they charge him for cybercrime. He's also going back on Monday.
Good. So it looks like a long line, a long march to the courts on the 10th, right? Keep alert. Like I said, you have to decide. We have decided that we're going to fight the fight. You have to decide what part you will play in holding the PPP accountable, whether you would allow them to trample your representatives or not, right? Let me encourage you to continue to stay in the fight, continue to share the live, continue to encourage others to view and share the live. Subscribe to YouTube. The time is coming, I know for a fact. The PPP is continuously trying to get us off of Facebook. They're lodging complaints, they're throttling our internet and all of that. And so I've been encouraging you all along. Ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because sometime that is going to be our ultimate place of discourse. Okay? Remember, the Cash App is $KAMSTV. If you so desire, you can drop your contributions there, or you can Zelle to 862-373-5187. The name on that account is your donor. For those of you who are concerned, let me tell you that I have full access and control of that account. 862-373-5187. That's the Zelle, and also the Cash App, $KAMSTV. Good, so fear not. Make your contributions and let's continue this battle. I know for a fact that in very short time we're going to be on the road doing meetings. Right? You know, this is the season when we go to the communities and we talk to residents in the communities. Many who, in many instances, don't have the opportunity to tune in and view the programs and get the teachings and so on. So we go face to face in the communities. Look out. We are planning meetings and we will be heading to your community. If you live in a community that we have never gone to and you believe that we are to come there, then you can send me a connect. Good? Send me some information and say, well, you know, for example, we want you to come to Agricola, and this is the contact person in Agricola who will be organizing and doing the logistics and so on and so forth. let's work together, because together we can bring change to this country. Thank you once more for tuning in, and be safe. Much love. Remember, play your part.